Welcome to French Connections, our weekly look at the intricacies of life here in France with Florence Villemino. Florence, great to see you. This week, we're going to focus on French citizenship, how many French citizens there are, and what it takes to become French. But before we start, break down the numbers for us.
Well, the French population is roughly 68 million people, but not everyone in France is a French citizen, and not all French citizens live in France. So according to official statistics, about 2.5 million French nationals live outside of France, and about 5.6 million foreigners live in France. That's about 8% of the population. Now, keep in mind that a lot of these foreigners living in France are actually immigrants in the process of getting French citizenship, which can take some time. We're going to get to that in just a second. But immigration is a hot-button issue in France, to say the least. It's a topic that regularly inflames the political class, with the right wing saying it's too easy to become a French citizen.
Walk us through what the law says. What does it take to become a French citizen?
Well, France is actually a hybrid system, and these are expressions du jour. On the one hand, you have something that's called the droit du sang, so the right of blood. If you are born to a French parent anywhere in the world, well, you are automatically a French citizen. But you also have the droit du sol, which we just saw there, the right of the soil, and this applies under certain conditions. If you are born in France to foreign parents, well, you can automatically become French at the age of 18 years old if you have lived in France for at least 5 consecutive years over the age of 11. Now, the droit du sol is something that the right wing has been calling to get rid of for years, even though, keep in mind, it has been around actually since the French Revolution.
But there are also other parts to becoming a French citizen. In fact, France is one of the most generous nations in Europe when it comes to granting citizenship to foreign nationals.
It is, but the naturalization process is not easy, and you can vouch for this, Delano. There is a lot of paperwork. So to apply for residency-based citizenship, you must have lived in France for at least 5 years, which can be reduced to 2 years if you have done higher education in France. You also have to have a stable income and integration into French society, and you also have to pass a French language test, and importantly, you can't have a serious criminal record. So if all these conditions are, if you're eligible, well, congratulations. Next comes a very fun part, which is filling in your application, your dossier, which is a lengthy admin obstacle course, and at the end of this is another fun treat, an interview.
That's right. Candidates for nationality have to go through an in-person interview at a police station or prefecture where they tested on their knowledge of France, its history, culture, politics, and just way of life in general.
That's right. Now, you've done this, Delano. It's sometimes an informal chat for some people, but for other people, it can actually be quite tricky, kind of like a quiz.
I know. I did revise before going to the interview when I did do it, so yeah.
Absolutely. You do have to study for this. It can make or break your application, so you have to be very careful in the way you answer.
Est-ce que vous savez qui était Jeanne d'Arc?
Oui, celle qui a fini la guerre de 100 ans. Et brûlée sur un bûcher.
Et voilà, qui a fini sur un bûcher. Est-ce que vous savez ce qu'est la Déclaration des droits de l'homme et du citoyen?
Oui.
Et de quand date-t-elle, exactement?
Oh là 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 là. C'est à la Révolution.
Est-ce que vous savez ce qu'est le Louvre?
Oui.
Oui, c'est...
Je suis rentré que dans la pyramide.
Now, one question that you are most likely going to be asked is why you want to become French. Now, saying that you want to have shorter lines at the airport or easier bureaucracy might be the real answer, but it's not the best answer to give. You basically have to show that you're committed to France and French values like laïcité, secularism, as well as the equality between men and women.
Now, there are other ways to become French through marriage, for instance.
That's right. After 4 years of marriage to a French citizen, you can apply for citizenship if you have lived at least 3 consecutive years in France, but you have to prove that your relationship is genuine, and you have to also show that you have sufficient knowledge of French. Now, another way that's almost as heroic as marrying a French person is actual acts of heroism. For instance, if you save a citizen, well, often you can actually be granted French citizenship, or there are other extraordinary contributions to France in art, science and sports, etc. And finally, you can also apply for French citizenship if you join the French Legion, the French Foreign Legion, although this might be a little bit more of an extreme way of getting French citizenship.
Les jeunes étrangers fait partie, et que c'est la grande famille. Donc cette grande famille qui m'a fait entrer dans une nouvelle société, on va dire une nouvelle naissance.
Now, if you're lucky enough to become a French citizen, there is also a naturalization ceremony to mark the occasion.
Yeah, you get to wave the French flag and sing the Marseillaise, which is the French national anthem. Don't worry, they will give you the lyrics to that. It is a moving ceremony, to say the least.
J'ai toujours vu la France comme un pays modèle qui se bat pour la démocratie, pour la liberté, pour la fraternité. Ce sont des bonnes valeurs. Je suis très fier de faire partie de cette histoire maintenant.
Quand les gens parlent le rêve américain, moi je dis le rêve français existe.
Vive la République, vive la France, et je suis fière d'être française. Et je le crie comme fort.
Now, there are plenty of advantages to taking French citizenship. You can vote, first of all, and you can actually even run for office. Delano, you could be president if
One
you
day.
so wish.
Who knows?
Now, perhaps the biggest advantage comes with the fact that you can actually officially complain about France if you are a French citizen, of course. And it does mean that those airport lines will get shorter and bureaucracy gets a little bit easier, though it's difficult for French citizens as well.
Indeed. Thank you very much for that, Florence. And that's all the time we have for in today's edition of French Connection. But you can check out other episodes on our website, france24.com.